This episode of the Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast is brought to you by pmtlifestyle.com, Authentic Muay Thai Lifestyle by Pu'u. Definitely go check out the website at pmtlifestyle.com for some awesome lifestyle merchandise. That's for those of you out there either involved in Muay Thai, looking at getting involved in Muay Thai, and embrace a healthier lifestyle to live the life of a Nak Muay. Go check it out.
All right, welcome to this episode of the Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast. Today we have Lino Enriquez, who is, are you the sole owner of Main Event Muay Thai, or are you co-owner?
I am the owner, sole owner.
Sole owner, founder of Main Event Muay Thai. And you guys are in, you're in Sacramento, correct?
Sacramento, North Sacramento.
Yeah, Sacramento. Also Rising Star Muay Thai promoter up there as well. So providing opportunities. We've talked about it here on the podcast briefly before. And now we have him here on the podcast today. And I see you're at your academy up there in Sacramento today. Is that correct?
I am. Yeah, this is all of it too. This is it.
Yeah. How long have you been there?
We've been here for 7 years now.
7
years here. Yep.
Damn, man. So, tell me a little bit more about how you guys got started. I think you guys started in a garage or something, right?
Yeah. So I was still training and fighting, and my coach. So I had just gone professional. So, like a lot of us, we think that we're going pro, we're going to be the best in the world. And I had my daughter right around that time. So I took like a month or two off, still trained by myself, but I took some time off. And when I came back to the gym, I'm like, yeah, let's get it going next match. And then my coach was like, hey, we're actually selling the gym. And it's like what? Like, you kind of caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going to happen. A new coach came in, and super, super nice guy, but I felt like he wasn't qualified to teach me. Like, I don't think he had any Muay Thai fights before. So, I felt like whatever, I'll go to my garage, and then there's a long backstory to that, but I'll go to my garage and I'll train myself. We tried to book fights. We were in communications with Lion Fight, but then when they found out I trained out of a garage, they never called back.
They're gone.
So then, it just turned into me teaching people. First, it was just a ton of privates a day. And then I was like, man, I got to find a way to get people together. We'll just do a group class in my garage. Mm-hmm. And then, man, within 6 months, I think I had 30 people. We had hey, half of you guys sit down, wait outside. We'll get the other half going for an hour. And then it turned into this. It turned into, it's not much, but it's enough for us now.
Oh, man. Well, no, it's nice. How many square feet is you guys' place there that you have?
It's only 2,200.
That's good though, man.
It's good. It's good. We got a big bathroom space back here, so it takes up a lot of the chunk. Yeah,
but that's for our Ventura Academy, it's 2,000 square feet. It's perfect. It gets the job done. It's exactly what you need. Keeps your overhead low, and it allows you to do what you want with your students, right? So,
yeah, it'd be great to have a bigger gym, but I think being small lets you be flexible.
Exactly, man. You can pivot a lot more. You guys went through COVID also.
Yeah. So, we all went through COVID.
Oh yeah. So
it was rough.
Man, I can only imagine, especially up in Sacramento. I can't imagine how that was. You're the capital of the state.
Yeah, I feel like if we go back, I would have done it differently. But yeah, we closed down. We did the whole 8 months, on and off type thing. And there was months where I would open just to be closed again, in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I was almost relieved because I was opening and 30 people would show up, and it wasn't even enough to cover overhead. So now I'm working full time because all I do is this. I don't have a job. All I do is teach. So I'm back to, working full time just to lose money. And it's it sucked.
Yeah.
So we did that 8 months on and off, just lost a bunch of money, and we stuck around though. So.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things everybody had their own unique journey through that as especially in the martial arts world, and we're one of the we got lumped into health and wellness, which is the one industry that got left out of it, right? Got left out of the COVID relief packages and stuff.
Yeah, that sucked. Everybody thought that I got a PPP or something. We didn't get anything, nothing. And we had to just we were training outside for a little bit, trying to keep our team active.
Yeah.
And I was slumping hard. Like, I've been doing Muay Thai for 16, 17 years. Mm-hmm. That was the only time I took like more than 2 weeks off from training, whether it be on my own or anything. Yeah. I started going through a depression and stuff. And like my fighters reached out, and they're the ones that kind of like, coaches, go outside. If anything, we don't need the gym. We just need you. Yeah. It snapped me out of it.
Yeah, I can understand with that. I really had to lean on our team as well during that time. It was just because it's very uncertain. That was my sole source of income, right? So
but you were fighting though. Like I remember watching. I don't know if it was on Instagram or Facebook Lives or whatever. You were out fighting for us. I remember that.
Yeah. So like that's one of those things that a lot of people. And thanks for mentioning that, because we had a lot of people in the industry really like trying to go at bat for everybody, right? Because it was like, we had Stefan Strottmeyer, who's a epidemiologist. He worked with the CDC before, and he wrote this whole guide. He brought it to the health officer, and he said, "Oh, I'm not interested." I'm like, not interested in people being happy, healthy, and like what the hell? So, not to get too off topic.
I get some of that. Like a lot of that's got to be liability too, right? Like that's why a part of it's why I closed down too for a minute. Like, I just didn't want to be liable if anybody got sick. You look back now and it's like, I know it's an unpopular opinion. It was a cold, but you look back and it's like, I just didn't want someone to get sick and say, I got them sick.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, somebody, passed away or something like that.
Right.
And they point finger at you, right?
Yeah. And that's like, in the community, we're not known for that. We really take care of our people. So I didn't want that to come off to be the opposite of what I am,
For sure. Well, let's go into our first segment here. Talk about like focus and preparation. Do you have like a secret message or like idea or maybe a product that you can share with us here at Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast that helps you like focus and tackle your priorities? We talked about some of the stuff you're dealing with today. There's a lot, you pull in a lot of different directions. What helps you really tackle that?
Man, taking notes, like writing everything down. And I don't know how long I've been doing that for, but like, I didn't realize I was doing that until it was, I have 3 daughters, and my oldest daughter one time, they went to the store. She came back with a pack of sticky notes, and she was like, "Hey Dad, like I got you your favorite." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "I got you sticky notes." And I was like, "They're not my favorite." And she was like, "Dad, you always use them." And I looked around my room, my little office, and it's like, I got sticky notes on the door, on the computer, on the whiteboard. Like I'll write things on my whiteboard, and then I'll put the sticky note on the whiteboard to remind me what to write on the whiteboard. So writing everything down, like otherwise my brain it's all over the place.
I can feel that 100%. And I just had somebody on here on the last episode as well. We were talking about this. It's a recurring theme I'm noticing for business people.
It was, man, your mind is pulled. That, and then the other one is don't sleep. Because it's like when you're sleeping, you're just dead time, just don't sleep.
It's hard, man. So how did you end up here on the podcast? Like, how did we end up connecting?
Man, you kept bugging me about it. And no, I'm just using whatever Mario said. Mario hooked us up. Mario, he sent me a text message, and I think it was about the podcast he was on.
Yeah.
I just gave John your number.
Yeah, he saw you at the event. He's like, "Hey, Lino said he's down for the podcast. Let's connect."
Yeah, so I mean, it worked out, and I've been listening to some of your stuff for a while now, so it's kind of cool to be on here.
Yeah, it's good to have you on, man. So, with that too, what do you think? Like, you've been in business 7 years. You obviously overcame a lot. You fought pro. You train like an active team. I see you guys at all tournaments and stuff too, and fights, and you're doing a promotion. What do you think is like a daily habit that you have that contributes to that success of what you're doing?
I don't know. You know what? I just look at one day at a time. Mm. It's obviously, we have our milestones. I have my goals for the month, for the 6-month period, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year. But I just look at every day like a reset button. And it's the only thing that keeps me sane is like, I wake up and then it's like, it's a new day. Good day, bad day, yesterday, new day. So that's my focus. It's like today, let's conquer today.
Yeah, just focus on being present, sounds like.
That's it. And like if I got pad work for the guys today, that's it, today.
Yeah.
If I'm going to like a basketball game tomorrow, then that's tomorrow. That's, I focus on what I have to do that day.
I can understand that feeling as well.
Yeah.
That it's not falling on deaf ears here, man.
But that's why this works, Jonathan. Like that's why it works because, you understand You're not like, I don't mean to sound wrong, but you're not like just some podcast guy.
Yeah.
You're in the Muay Thai community.
Thank you, man. And that's something that, like, I don't know how far back you listen on it here on the podcast, but that's kind of how this whole started. It was like, I'm sure, how many times have you stayed there late at night talking to your students, your coaches?
Oh, every night.
Yeah.
My wife yells at me every time. It's like, yo, you're not, it's 10:30, it's 11, where you at? Exactly. So I'm talking to the guys. And it's like, and sometimes that's work though, right? Like, yes, that's work.
It is, sucks, especially when you have family, man.
Yep.
For me, I don't have kids, right? I'm not married, so it's like, I have a little bit more.
You gotta get at it, man. It's about time.
Exactly. Hey.
Like my oldest is 8, so now it's like I got her. She's like wife junior, calling me like, Dad, where you at?
Hey, how come you're not home? Mom's waiting.
And the funny thing is, we homeschool them, so they're up late. Yeah, they're up late. They're waiting for me to get home, and they want to play. And it's like they want to just like, we watch a lot of Sacramento Kings basketball. So like last night we played a game, and they're texting me, Dad, they lost. Dad, we blew the 4th quarter, and it's like, I gotta get home. I gotta get home, But,
yeah. Hey, why is Coach having a bad time all of a sudden? Oh, you got a message from his daughter.
Yeah, it's all day, man. But I love it though, because it's like it really keeps me human. It's like and here, like sometimes where you get in this like coach mode, and you're like telling people what to do, and then you got your 8-year-old daughter kind of bringing you back to life. It's like, okay, you know what? I am human. I gotta slow down.
Definitely. I want to touch on that a little bit later, because you hit something that I have a question for you about later, but we'll get to it. So with that too, obviously there's a lot of obstacles that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Can you tell us about, like, obviously we've covered a couple of them, but is there like a challenging time or situation that could have like devastated or even ruined what you do, but you persisted through it? You made tough decisions. I know being in business, being a fighter, you make a lot of tough decisions. Now that it's like maybe it was a very painful time in your life, and now it's like a very invaluable learning experience.
Man, I think when I stopped fighting, because to this day it's something that I still battle with. It's like, what would have been, and it sucks because it's like I'm sitting here telling my students sometimes, don't have regrets or do what you can now, but I feel like, the most pivotal time was when I just couldn't fight anymore. Not that I couldn't, because I was young, I was healthy. I was probably just starting my peak when I went pro. Like, I was only going to get better. I stopped fighting when I was 25. I haven't fought in 9 years, so it's just, that was the hardest part, because when you're a fighter, and it's a funny quote that somebody told me years ago. It's like, you're only a fighter if you fight. And that was so hard for me to oh wow, like I'm not a fighter anymore. Well, like I haven't fought, so it's like it's hard to even like talk about me fighting before, because I'm not fighting now. Yeah, like I don't want to be one of those coaches where it's like, back in my day I used to, but and it does come off that way. It's like, back in my day, but for me it was the hardest. It was realizing that I am no longer competing. I have to teach now. I have to get the next generation. And once I accepted that, I think that's when we really started doing really well. I started building champions, because it wasn't about me anymore.
Yeah. And, now, like, looking on to, you said you've been there 7 years. It's like, you're like 3-4 generations into your student base, right?
Yeah.
So, and I can definitely relate. I think we've had some back and forth on, like, social media or something like that. It's like, when you open up, like, an academy for training, right? The amount of work that it takes, it really, like, it's like you're either focused 100% on yourself, or you're 100% focused on your business. If you do it in between, they're both going to kind of suffer a little bit.
Right.
And it's like you have to, like, you can delegate and do all that stuff, but now you're paying more out of pocket. You're losing your income for something that doesn't give you any income, right? Like, we're just fighting.
Right.
Right. It's like, oh, you're pro, you get paid. It's like, man, I've talked about it before. Yeah, I got $800.
Man, but it's funny. It's like they're getting paid. What I got paid 9 years ago is what they're still getting paid now. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. But we're gonna hit on this later about the whole promotion.
We'll save, because I have a lot of questions, and we can chop that up onto here.
I'm ready for it.
So let's go on to like personal mastery, right? So what do you think is the most critical skill that like people, fighters, like maybe a business owner needs to master in order to thrive, like today, right? So maybe this is something that can bleed over into promoters, right? Promoters, check it out.
Yeah. No, I don't know if that, but just in anything. And I remind myself every day, like, to be fearless. Be fearless, you know. And it's like, obviously, like, it takes a while to get there. It's not something where you can just be fearless all the time. But in business is like, it's full of sharks, you know. And it's like, you gotta be fearless in those waters. If you're gonna swing, you might as well swing big, you know. Like, for me, that's what I think a lot of my success comes from. It's like, it's been every time I take a chance, it works.
Yeah.
And every time I don't, it's kind of like I see somebody else do it. And it's, oh man, like, if I would have just tried. Yeah, I could have done that. But like, nah, for me, I'm just tired of I could have done that. So it's like, just be fearless. And that's my advice to anybody. Like, just be fearless. Like, if you're going to fail, you already failed if you don't do it. Just try it.
It's like, better to have tried and failed than to not tried at all, right?
Right.
So it's very important to, like, just go out there, give it your all. Just like you would tell your fighter, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly. You know, and I learned
nervous.
I learned all these lessons from fighting. Like, been doing this since I was 17, you know, so it's like I learned all my life lessons through fighting. Same thing.
So can you tell us about, like, maybe a influential lesson you learned from one of your mentors and how it helped you become the person, like, business owner you are today?
A lot of, you know what, I was kind of thinking about this because I read a little bit on the thing you sent me. I was going to say some positives. Because I've had a lot of really good mentors. I know you know Daniel Docto Jr.
Yes.
But Daniel Docto Sr. was one of my first mentors in Muay Thai.
Okay.
He had come down for a couple weeks, and he had just come from Thailand. He brought a couple guys with him. I know one of them was named Tobias. He was a pro fighter from Thailand. And they helped me a lot. So I was going to talk about that. And then Crew Trey Howard. I don't know if you're familiar with Crew Trey.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, he's Daniel Docto Jr. He was one of his coaches too, and Trey was really influential up here in Northern California. And he comes to my gym every now and then just to kind of train a little bit.
Vallejo?
He was in Vallejo, yeah.
Yeah, I fought one of his guys, and he freaking gave me 2 black eyes.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that you fought Alec.
Alec, yeah.
Alec, yeah, that was down south.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
No, I remember. So that's I remember him. I know who he is for sure.
Yeah, so he was one of my mentors too, and it's like one of the guys that at the time he was really young as a coach, so it reminds me a lot of me when I opened my gym, but really like passionate. So I was going to talk about that, but the most influential lesson I learned, Jonathan, was when we did end up closing our first gym. My coach, I remember when we talked about him closing, and I asked him this specific question. I said, "Man, what about me?" Because I was still trying to fight, and he was just like, I didn't think about that. And like, that was like it hurt, but at the same time, it's like, I'm responsible for my own dreams. Like, that's what I took from that. And it's like, I didn't want to take any negativity from that. Like, oh, like it sucks. At the time I did, but like the more and more I thought about it, it's like, he wasn't responsible for my dreams. I was.
Yeah.
Whether that be in my garage or in, opening up my own gym. It's like, you can't put all your eggs in somebody else's basket. It's got to be you. And so for me, that was the most influential thing now. And I tell my students that it's like, I can die any minute. Don't rely on me to get you through this fight. It's like, I can teach you, I can lead you, but it's got to be you. It's got to be you.
Definitely, man. It's a good lesson. I can imagine how that probably felt at the time too.
Yeah, I took it personal at first, I think. But, I don't think there was anything personal about it because, at the end of the day, it's like, we all got to take care of ourselves. And like, maybe when he was selling the gym, it was something personal for him. Maybe he had to do that. So I didn't take it later on in life. I didn't take it personal like it was an attack towards me. Although I might have felt that.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. And then now owning a gym, it's like, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. It's something that's like, you need the context behind it, right?
Yeah. And, as fighters, you don't get that. Like, I'm sure you've dealt with some of your own fight team. It's like, they're asking more and more of you, and it's like, bro, hold up, man, you're paying me what like someone coming in for weight loss is paying. Like, relax, man. Yeah. So once you own the gym, you're like, I get it. Like, I could have been one of those guys too. I get it.
I always use the analogy, and I'm not sure if I've shared it here before, but how like you have a car shop, right? The people that they get into maybe a car shop because they like working on cars. They become a mechanic. Right. They go to like the school for it, trade. Like, hey, I work on cars. I like it. and they have their like show car, right? Like the lowrider they work on the weekend. They drink beers with the boys. They, you know, with their friends, and they're working on the car. And they bring out to the car show, like, yeah, look what we did, right? They don't get paid for that,
right?
And that's fighting in Muay Thai.
Exactly.
And so it's like,
I explain this to my fighters though. Like I used to like not tell them. I just go about it, but now I explain that to them. It's like, bro, I'm taking time away from my kids. Like I'm in a hotel room with a bunch of stinky fighters. Like I'd rather be with my kids. Like don't think I do this because like I'm just getting up. Like I'd rather just be with you guys. Like I'm doing it for you. Like I'm trying to get your dreams, off the ground. Like we don't do this for money. We're losing money going to these tournaments.
Exactly. And it's like giving that context for people. And I think like a general population, if you're listening to this or you're watching, it's like that car show thing. People can relate to it because they understand like, oh. It's like, hey, I like working on the Honda Civic. I like those things. I like working on cars. You like training people. You like teaching Muay Thai.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's great. Like very grateful for it. And like with the fighters and having that kind of stuff, it's like, hey, I want to help you, but you also have to meet me halfway.
Right.
Because it's like, hey, you have to bring the car that's ready to be worked on and is cleaned up, prepped, ready to go, because otherwise I can't work on it.
Yeah, you want to drive that car, you got to help too,
Yeah, exactly. So, kind of going into that too, if there's like a magic reset button as it relates to you starting your journey in Muay Thai, so you start at 17, what system or method would you go back and put into place sooner rather than later, and why?
I think I would just go back to what we just touched on. It's like I would be more mindful and more selective on who I put my time into, whether that be when I was a student or when, as a fighter or as a coach even. It's like, who am I putting my time into? Because like there's a lot of time when my kids were growing up, when we're in tournaments, we're going to places, and some of those fighters aren't here anymore. And it sucks to like, because I looked at them like family. Maybe they didn't think the same of me, but I would, if I can go back, I would be a lot more selective on like who I do spend my time with. We can get money back. You can't get time, man. My kids they're older now.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, I'm going to make sure that I spend my time correctly.
Awesome. Solid advice for anybody that's out there listening or watching, especially if you're early in entrepreneurship or your business or even fighting and stuff like that too. It's important to understand where you invest your time and the people you invest your time into, right? So, with that too, what's one strategy or recipe that other business owners or other teams could consistently apply every day, and you think that would compound into bigger wins for them?
Again, fearlessness.
Yeah.
Fearlessness. I'm gonna always say that. I'm gonna harp on that forever. Double down, triple down if I have to. Fearlessness.
Yeah, to be fearless in what you do and just go for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, you just do it. If you're gonna do it, just go all the way. Like my mom used to tell me when I was a kid, it's like, if you're gonna do it, don't complain about it.
Yeah.
And she would say it all the time, and I don't even know why she would say these things. It'd be the littlest thing, like cutting the grass. And it's like, if you're gonna do it, don't complain about it. And so, like, to this day now, it's like, why bitch and complain? Just do it. I'm gonna just do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, be fearless in anything that you do. Just be fearless.
Solid advice. Let's say if you're going to fast forward 1 year from now, look back on decisions that you're considering in your business, in your life, and imagine the people that you work with today, that you've invested that time into, exceed your highest expectations. What do you think is one recipe or strategy that you consistently applied? You could say fearlessness, right? That delivered the most value to you and your business.
Consistency. And, like that's a twofold answer though, because you can be consistently wrong, Yep. So you got to follow a good leader, and if I'm going to be expecting anything of my team, I have to do it. Mm-hmm. And if I can do it, and then that'll just show you that you can do it, and I'm going to be on your ass, and then we're on it every single day.
I've seen you posting where you're showing your runs. Right? Yeah. You're like, hey, I have kids, I have a business, I have a team, and I'm still getting it in.
Yeah, well, I haven't ran in a while now, right? Since we've done the promotion.
Yeah.
Like I've been busy, but I'm gonna get back to it. I'll get back to it.
So let's say that you're standing in front of a room of like other Muay Thai people that may be looking at their like personal training, doing one-on-ones, or opening up their own school. Just like you when you were starting out, like you're like, hey, I guess I'm gonna start in my garage. And they're battling their way through those fears, worries, and doubts. Like, hey, is this the right thing I should be doing? Is this what, am I still going to be fighting, or, hey, is this the right step for me? What do you think are like 2 or 3 strategies that you'd recommend that they focus on to best ensure their success?
I think if you're second guessing yourself, don't do it. Mm-hmm. Like, you might as well get out now, because there's so many like ups and downs, and then the ups don't come until later. Mm-hmm. Lots of downs. And if you second guess yourself now, 1 year from now, you're losing money, you're really going to want to get out. So yeah. A lot of people don't make it past that first year opening up a gym, because you got to build a student base. Mm-hmm. You're not focusing on that. You just want to teach the best Muay Thai possible, but you're not getting students. Then, like I said, just get out now, because don't second guess yourself. If you are second guessing yourself, if you need my advice, just get out now. You should be so passionate about like that you're going to do it. It'll take care of itself. And then part 2 would be go all in if you are going to do it. Like, I quit my job as soon as I opened up my gym, because I didn't want to have that hanging over my head that I got to go home, I got to shower. Like, just go all in and try it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's like something that it seems to be the common denominator for people who are in business about like that. Hey, like if you're not all in on it, then like you said, don't do it. If you are all in, like, be all in. You can't have one.
Man, like,
otherwise it sets you up for failure too if you do that, I think.
I dropped out of college, like, so I can just train more. Like, I would quit jobs left and right just so I can continue training. As soon as they were like, hey, you have to work on Saturdays, like, I got, smoker fights on Saturdays. So, all right, I'll quit. And it's like, it was just that easy for me, because like the goal was so important. And I'm glad it worked out, right? Because it could have been a big failure. But it would have been if I would have just followed the trend and said, all right, I won't fight no more. Mm-hmm. So like, I went all in, man. Like there was no second guessing. From the second I knew I was going to do Muay Thai forever, I didn't know it'd be coaching. I thought it'd be fighting until I was 40, but I was going to do this forever, no matter what.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I felt the same way. How old are you, Lino?
I'm 34 this year.
34. So I just turned 35. So like we're on the same age. So I can definitely relate to the trajectory and the thought process on that, man. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, kind of touched on it. So you have kids and you homeschool them, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like being around and having your Muay Thai Academy, do you think that was like helped influence that choice? And that way, they have like a good community of people to be around?
1,000%. Like, I don't think I would do it if we didn't have a place where we can bring them. But I mean, I could always have signed them up to a martial arts gym. Yeah. Just being at mine, my students know it's like my kids are a big part of the gym. Like, mm-hmm. I have them sometimes, like, they're at our events. They're the ones that hand out the medals. They're the ones you talked about. Like, I want them up in front of people, not just communicating, but being able to lead and talk to people. That's the part that I think that a lot of kids get from school. I won't get into like a whole like political topic about school, but what are you doing with my kid for 8 hours? Like, you're not teaching them for 8 hours. I teach kids. They're not going to listen for 8 hours. A lot of it is just kind of like leading them around and making sure they're not fighting each other for 8 hours. But if we have the means, like a gym where we can bring them and socialize, then, we took that route.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking is like, I've told myself, like, if I have kids, I'm going to homeschool them. And it's like the martial arts community that they would be raised in within our doors would be like perfect for them.
It is. I think so. We won't know until they're 18 or they're 20. We'll figure it out.
I've seen a lot of kids grow up through martial arts and they had their families like that, and they all end up turning out great. Some of them don't end up being martial artists, and that's fine.
Right. But I like that that they get to see me in my element too. And they're at home with my wife, and she's raising them obviously, and she's doing the teaching and a lot of the school stuff. But when they come here, they get to see me in my element. Mm-hmm. They get to see like, oh, maybe I can open up a business. Like, and I don't have a degree. Like I said, I dropped out of college. So it's like, if they see me, like, what, we don't have to just adhere to what society thinks.
Yeah.
We can maybe open up a nail salon or a hair salon or even a gym.
Yeah. Awesome, man. And it's good to have that. Like, for me, I grew up around the surf industry with my parents. They had skate and surf shop. They had surfboard manufacturing, like warehouse where they were shaping boards, and they had people shaping for them. And it was like, my parents were like, my dad's like, you're surfing. My dad's Hawaiian. So he's like, you're surfing. You got to do this. I'm like, I'm doing the exact opposite of surfing. I want to go fight.
Yeah, but I mean, but you opened up a gym though, so in a way, it's your work.
Well, what's funny about that too is I opened up the space I got into in Ventura is right next door to one of the locations that they had in Ventura. And it was like complete accident. Like I wasn't looking for it and all that stuff. So it's funny how like this goes into this, and the chances of your kids going that route is much higher, I think, by them seeing you kind of go through it and, you know, with your family and build it up like, hey, I can do this too if my dad can do it. Right?
Yeah, I have an older cousin who he owns a really big produce company in Sacramento. Wow. And he was one that I never asked directly, but I'd seen how he started and the struggles he went through until like now he's doing really well. I think he's the biggest produce company in the area.
Oh shit.
And it's like I was able to look and be like, you know what, like I can just kind of take the blueprint and know that there's gonna be ups and downs. So I think having someone to look up to like that, like it was a huge part for me. And I never tell him this, you know, I don't speak to, he's so busy. You talk about busy, he's busy. Yeah. You know, but like he was super influential. So having someone like that is huge. And I was called crazy when I first opened up the gym. Like the last job that I had, the manager was like, you know, even though you're quitting, we're gonna put your 2 weeks notice in, and if you have to come back, don't worry about it. And I was so offended. Like I'm never coming back. Like, but I was the only one that believed that. Like I'm never coming back. And now I have a bunch of like my students. They're opening businesses, and like it's really cool to when somebody does it and they break through. A lot of people feel confident, you know.
Yeah, because like, oh man, they did it. Like my training partner did it. Like, hey,
like, no, I could do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Exactly. So, you know, going into that too, you know, you're wearing the Rising Star Muay Thai promotion shirt. How did you end up getting into promoting, and like, what was the catalyst for that?
Man, I won't say names and nothing like that, but like shitty promotions, you know, like there's, it's kind of like if there's not what you want out there, it's like, do you just keep doing the wrong things? Do you keep supporting what you don't support just to get your guys fights?
Yeah.
Do you wait just only for the tournaments? If no one's going to build our area up, like, do I just wait and see our area suffer?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, at one point it's like, and this has been a thought I've had for years. Like the idea for Rising Stars was before even COVID stuff like happened. So we've had the name and all the stuff like done. Like I had shorts ready during COVID, and we didn't even have a show until 2022.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it was just a matter of time until this happened, I think. I was kind of waiting to see if anybody would step up, and there hadn't been amateur Muay Thai since before COVID. And it was like, you know what, like we'll do it. We'll do it and we'll treat the fighters fairly.
Yeah. And like that's what I talked about with Mario about this stuff. And kind of like the optics of what you guys are doing too. Like you said, you have your kids giving the medals and stuff like that. It's not like, you know, for those that don't know, is you go to an event and you see ring girls, it's like it's supposed to be a family friendly event. It's like, how's that family friendly, right? A girl with her and half naked woman.
Well, you know, me having daughters too, it's like I want my daughters to look at the girls fighting and be like, that's what I want to be like.
Yeah.
No, nothing against ring girls. Don't
no, they can. Yeah,
it's part of the show.
Yeah,
it's part of it's America. They can do whatever they want, you know. Like, and obviously the men in the crowd are gonna love it, but it's like to me, it's about inspiring the ones coming up, not to just appease the fans, you know.
Hence the name Rising Stars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know,
a generic name, but it's on purpose, you know.
Yeah.
A very generic name, but we chose it on purpose.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons, obviously, right? Yeah. So, like, I can see it in like people that are maybe not so much involved in it, and where it comes into like the sport for the activity that we have now. Like when we were coming up, like you're lucky you can fight twice a year.
Yeah, I think most of my fights were like twice a year. If we had 3 fights in a year, it was like, oh man, like
you're
busy year.
Yeah.
Obviously smokers, you know, we had to do smokers in between. Like there was times when, you know, I had like 18 fights in a year if you count the smokers. But like amateur, like 3 fights maybe.
Yeah, and there's like the stuff with the sanctioning with CSAC at the time. They were like flip-flopping. You have to wear shin guards. You don't have to wear shin guards. You have to wear headgear. Okay, one guy can wear headgear. One guy can wear no shin guards. It's like, what's going on?
You know, I tell people that, like, you know, like I don't even care. You know, we went to one of the WBC shows that you ref, and we really like that. You know, like I don't really care what sanctioning body is doing it. I do care that they judge it properly. You know, but at the same time, it's like CSAC was really rough to work with. You know, like I remember back when I was fighting, CSAC was rough to work with. You had to wait till everybody weighed in, or till everybody got their physicals before anybody weighed in. It was miserable.
I remember
one time, 4 hours.
One time we waited. It was at an IFS event. I think it was like his third IFS event. We had to wait 8.5 hours before anybody weighed in.
That's crazy, and that was like a normal thing.
Yeah,
it was normal. Like,
it's just like, this
6 hours.
is it.
And then if a fighter was late, you waited until that fighter got there before anybody got in the scale. So I think, I know that IKF gets a lot of flack, but in that regard, like they're really good.
They're doing better than that. Yeah, hell yeah.
Better than that. Yeah, you show up and you weigh in, you can eat, and then your opponent can show up later. So, yeah, I like that.
100%, man. And that comes into, it's just like, you know what to expect when you're stepping into it. That back then, you didn't know what to expect. It was like, you're being told no shin guards. And then, hey, no, the commission's saying you have to wear shin guards. Oh, that's we dealt with some of that too, and it's like, we thought we're doing elbows, and it's like, nah, CSAC said no elbows, and it's like, what? Because that was a whole rule back then too. It's like there was no elbows in California until I think IKF came in, and then they kind of figured some things out. But then IKF went through that too. The shin guard, no shin guard. I fought one time no headgear with shin guards, which was really weird. But I mean, it was a lot of back and forth back then. Yeah, now there's more consistency, and I don't think people realize how much they have it, especially like teenagers and stuff like that, because for them, the perception of time is a lot longer, right? I was talking to one of our students the other day. I'm like, we're talking about women athletes. I was like, man, it wasn't until like November 2021, women couldn't even fight in the ring at Lumpini in Rotterdam. Like, this is new. It's new territory.
New,
yeah.
And now, like, that's the thing with like the whole RWS and then the one fights in Thailand, and it's different. We didn't come up watching that. Like, at least I didn't. Like, I watched a lot of the golden era stuff. And then even the stuff from, like, the 2010s, like, I watched some of that stuff. Like, I was watching Nongo when Nongo was in his prime, like, not Nongo on one.
I saw Nongo fight at Lumpini, like the old Lumpini and shit. It's like, seeing that stuff was, like, it was different, but it's also super cool to see this kind of, like, new generation and having the trajectory it's going to have on the sport with people having more exposure to high-level Muay Thai.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like hey, my uncle trains Muay Thai. He said to kick trees.
No, not any of that anymore. Yeah, but but I tell people, John, it's like growth is good, but like cancer is also growth. You know what I mean? Like, not all growth is good growth.
Yeah,
1,000 gyms in any city you look at, it's like now it's really hard to see where the good ones are. Before we knew.
Well, because it kind of comes from this. Bob Carmel broke this down to me. He's like, "Hey, we had like the first generation. He's like the old guys, right? Second generation, right? Third generation, would be like me from like these Thai instructors, right? You." And we learned from them about like how to operate, how to like tape hands, how to corner, Waikirema, like all these little intricacies. And now you have this new generation, and then we have our students, right? That are below us, like fourth generation. And then you have this other generation that came in that's from YouTube and Instagram. And it's like, how do we educate them to get them up to speed? Because now it's like, hey, they're the same age as us, but they didn't come up the same way as us, right? And it's like, how do we include them? Because it is people that they do want to learn, but then maybe they're really good at marketing, right? And people are like, oh, this is the person. It's like, maybe not, right?
It's rough though. That's why I feel like I'm a young old head, because like back in the day there was only one gym in my town, and that's the gym where all of us trained at. And like, that's it. And if we fought, we wouldn't. I don't know. We went to like other places to like fight, whether the Bay or like Tahoe, Reno. Like, we just had to find anybody to fight. Down south, Fresno. Like, and nowadays, like, there's a gym. I'm not saying like my town specifically only, because I know it happens everywhere, but there's a gym on every corner, and it's hard to even tell if these guys are YouTube guys or not. Sometimes you ask a coach like, "Have you fought before?" And then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, back in my day, we didn't record it." And it's like, really, like. And it's hard to really gauge because Muay Thai is so niche that you Google them, you won't find any names.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, there's a good chance that might be true, right?
Right. It could be true, for sure.
And
so it's like, you can't really judge someone.
Thing. Yeah, it's a hard thing to like for people to gauge and find like it's hard to do like a bullshit test, I guess is what you're saying.
Right. But I have a couple that I tell people when they come into my gym, if they don't sign up right away, I'm just like, you know what, like you don't have to sign up here, but here are a couple questions you can go and ask. And it's like, ask how long have you been training the art that you're teaching me? Have you competed in the art that you're teaching me? Do you only train fighters? Do you only train beginners? Like, have you built any champions from scratch? Like, there's a couple things you can ask a coach. And if they can't answer any of those, then maybe you should go to a different gym. You know, and obviously, like, Google is your friend. You can Google and figure things out. But I tell people to Google coaches, not just for their record on fighting, but just a background check. Like, you don't want some weird stuff to pop up and in the community, like I've called people out before, but like you don't want any weird stuff around kids and stuff like that.
Oh, hell no. Like there was some came in, you probably remember this. It was big. It was in the jiu-jitsu community. I think it was Team Lloyd Irvin. Like, did you ever hear about this?
I've heard of the name Lloyd Irvin for sure.
So he built this like massive competitive jiu-jitsu team, and it came out. And I'll leave this to anybody who's listening out there. I've never met Lloyd Irvin. I don't know much about them, but I will just say this: he bought the domain name LloydIrvinRapeCase.com. Okay,
wow,
and was marketing self-defense courses. So definitely, like talk about turning an extreme negative over, right? But
yeah, that's for me. There's no room. There's no room for that.
No, and it's like
you have to. You can have a business,
yeah,
but not like that. When it comes to like kids and stuff like that, not like that. That don't fly.
Yeah, and going into that too is like looking people up. Like sometimes I have people come into our academy. I'm like, this guy is they kind of rub me the wrong way. I'm like, I'm gonna Google their name. Just see.
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. And it's like there's been times people that I know from before maybe I had like an accusation or something. Like never from my gym, but like maybe they come from a different place. And it's like they ask if they can come here. It's like nope. Like it rubs them the wrong way, but it's like I don't care. Nope, not here.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I don't know what happened, but I just can't have that around.
No, I don't even need to say all that. It's just nope.
Yeah,
nope.
Just nope. So kind of going into this too, where it came into like your promotion, community culture that like you're building and everything, man. Like, what do you see in Muay Thai that you think needs to happen in California for it to continue to grow?
Man, that's such a hard answer. I think we're trying it. We're trying it. It's like the pro scene is non-existent. And don't get me wrong, there is shows that are having pros on, but I feel like right now, because this is going to be like our eventual goal, but I won't say too much because whatever. But I don't want it to be like a dart contest. It's like we're having a pro show and then just hope you can connect.
Yeah,
two together. It should be people that you've built up, maybe through the amateurs. Hold up, am I cutting out?
No, you're good.
Oh, sure. Hopefully people that we built up so then when we do have a show, we can just pick from that pool of people. Like if you fought for us and you're ready to go pro, then it's like, hey, Jonathan, we can offer you something. We know you bring a decent crowd. We'll pay you more than such and such will pay. But I think with the PMTs and stuff right now, the bottom feeding, and I don't want to call them bottom feeders. They do help. PMTs do help. But a lot of people are staying there. And then amateur is becoming what pro used to be.
Yes, and
so MMA, I think we need to bring it. We need to bring it back to where amateurs is what's developing the next stage.
MMA kind of went through this too with camo because they used to make the amateurs wear rash guards, and that was like the differentiation between it.
Right.
Like, hey, amateurs don't have to wear rash guards, and then promoters are like, well, why would I have a pro fighter when I can have an amateur fighter and not pay them?
Right.
Right. It gets them into a business model. Like people don't understand like profit and loss statement. Like, hey, now you're digging into the profits when they add in a pro fighter onto there because now you're having to pay more to the state, put money in escrow account, higher insurance, all this other fight purses, more travel, different sanctioning fees. Then the thing is that they get really reliant on just amateur, and they have a consistent business model. Like, why would they change that?
Why would you change? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, and as a business person, it's like, I get it. you're making money. Fuck yeah, keep doing it. But then from like a Muay Thai standpoint, you're like, damn, that's kind of shooting us in the foot.
It's funny you say that. Like, cut into your profit margin I know other promoters won't copy this, but I cut into my profit margin on purpose right now. Like, we give them shorts, we give merch, we take care of the fighters. I pay for the photographer myself. Shout out to Gabe Torres. Like I paid Gabe myself so he can give us all the photos and we're not gouging fighters afterwards. I pay for the video and we put that out for free later. What else? If we have an out of town fighter, I try to get them a hotel at least. And then when we've gotten people that come out, some are really cool. Like we have some that come from Hawaii from the Mango Tree, and they're super cool. They'll cover their own airfare and stuff. But I had a kid come out from Mexico, and I covered his airfare and all of his. No, I lied. He got his airfare. I covered all of his hotel. So like, and that's someone staying for 6 days almost.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but he was fighting Cy Hansen, who's a really talented kid out from Sacramento. One of our rising stars. And in my mind, I'm like, eventually, if guys go pro, I'd have to pay this anyways as a purse. So it's like, let me cut into the profit margin now on purpose and just see where we'd be at when we do the pro shows.
That makes sense, man. And like, because you kind of want to see the test run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A test run where it's like, it's still amateur. Like I'm not dealing with the same commission as I would be for pros. I know insurances probably go up a little bit. I would, if I had a pro show, I'd get 2 ambulances, so we're not sitting around while someone's in the back,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like there's certain things that I'd have to pay for. So now it's like, why not knock some of those down now, so we're kind of used to that later.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. The 2 ambulances. So for people that don't know, you have to have an ambulance, like a medical transport, on site in order for it to happen. So if someone gets knocked out and goes to the hospital, the whole show stops until they send a new ambulance out. And that can sometimes be half hour. Sometimes it could be 2 or 3 hours. Or sometimes they're saying, I'm not coming back. And the show.
Right. Sometimes they just won't.
Yeah.
They just won't go back. And the show ends. And we've been to those. I'm sure you've been there.
We've had a fighter who was next up and he was supposed to fight. And our friend's fighter got knocked out. We're like, oh, I hope he's okay. And then the commission says, hey, guys, ambulance is not coming back. Show's over. We're taped up, gloved up, ready to go.
Yeah, we have a really good relationship with ambulance company up here, AMR, and so they're cool. Like they're right down the street from where we do our venue. So I know they'd always send somebody. But if I had a pro show, like I'd do 2. I'd get 2.
Yeah, and it's just like because you just want to like cover your bases. Too much money is on the line, right? It's like, hey,
and right, like of course, it's like the production matters when it's pro because people are paying for a production. We'll kind of go back to what we do now. It's like, I'm not paying high quality production, so I can spend money somewhere else where I would be spending it on the production later. Jonathan, I do not care about making money with these amateur shows at all. Like people know they come to our shows. We've sold out 2 of the 4 that we've had. We only had 4, but it's like we're selling almost 1,000 tickets here in like a small community. Yeah, and I'm keeping tickets affordable. I'm letting kids that last event was 8 and under getting free. This time we're going to 5 and under because people lie. They like too much. They get their 12-year-olds in for free. So this time,
hey,
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, it's like the event. Like I get it, but still, hey, do better.
Yeah, do better. We're checking birth certificates.
We're on to you. We're on to you.
No, and I always tell them that too. When I tell the coaches, it's like, look, tickets we do 45, super affordable for an amateur show. Tickets are 45, under a certain age is free. And I was like, and if you can fool us at the door, shame on you, but fair play. Yeah. And everybody just laughs, but it's true. Like we're not going to sit here and check IDs or birth certificates.
No, but
we like I said, we sold out. We're trying to get to a point where we know we can run a pro show, and I know we can now because I don't care about like the profit or whatever, but to be able to pay the fighters well, that's where I want to get to.
Yeah, you don't want to be the person who's paying the same as they were 8 years ago.
No, I mean, but that's what it is right now, right? Like that's just what it is. And I'm not blaming promoters. No. I get how hard it is. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why CSAC hasn't changed it. I think the minimum is like $100 a round.
Yeah.
And it's like I think that should change. I don't know how else we can do it.
At least adjust for inflation, please.
Please, but then what are we paying them? Like $1,500 to $2,000 to debut? Yeah. So not everybody's worth that. Not everybody's worth that.
Exactly. And this comes into some of the media and stuff like that too that goes on nowadays. Like, when we're coming through, like Black Belt Magazine was kind of still a thing. Like it was on its way out, and like digital media, YouTube was just starting and everything like that too. So kind of going in to wrap things up, Lino, like how can people find...
I got people knocking on my door right now.
How can people find your gym? How can people find your promotion?
Main Event Muay Thai everywhere. Rising Stars _ Muay Thai on Instagram. Look me up, Lino Enriquez. I don't know, just support. Like we're trying to do good things for the community.
Absolutely.
If you don't support us, great. We don't care. We're going to keep doing what we're doing and trying to build up Muay Thai.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll make sure to link that down in the show notes for anybody that's listening on there. Good. Lino, thanks so much for coming in today, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. We'll chat soon.
Thank you so much for coming in today, guys. And thank you for tuning in. Swordy Cop. All right, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast. If you enjoy the content, go leave a review over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Give us a rating. It means the world to us. Also, if you want to be a guest on the Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast, or if you just want to shout out to your friend, go check us out at podcast.puumuaythai.com. You can submit to be able to be a guest on the podcast. You can submit what you want to talk about. Also, if you want to just give a shout out, there's a button for that too. Sawadi Cop.